Extend your reach and spin potential with the Yonex VCORE 100 Plus 8th Gen. Loaded with power, the VCORE 100 Plus is an extended length racket with a beefy swing weight that has plenty to offer advanced level players on both the singles and doubles court. This update features a redesigned beam for a more aerodynamic shape with some added stability in specific locations. In addition, Yonex widened the string holds for increased string movement and better snapback, resulting in better spin potential. It still features the iconic isometric head shape and the 2 NAMD Flex Force graphite with servo filter for a plush and forgiving response. I've been lucky enough to be on 3 models in this 8th generation of the VCORE line, the 98-100 and now this 100 Plus. And I have playtested a couple previous 100 Pluses, so I had a good idea of what to expect. And I was pleasantly surprised with how much I liked this racket. Now, first things first, the standard 100 I found in this 8th generation to be a little bit flighty. Now, I've used the VCOREs for a couple weeks now, so I feel like I've gotten a good feel for them, but I do think that this extended length wasn't quite as flighty. I wasn't getting as many shots due to the higher launch angle. Don't get me wrong, there were a couple shots I did hit quite deep, but I think for the most part, I had a little bit better control of my depth with this racket. And now it is a higher swing weight for me, but for me, it didn't feel as heavy as the specs indicated. I was able to get it around my body with ease. I thought it was a little bit quicker than the previous generation. I was able to hit some nice penetrating slices and it felt pretty stable on my volleys. Now with all extended length rackets, there is a small adjustment period for me, about 1 hour to get my timing down, especially on the backhand side. But once I got that timing in, I really liked that extra reach I got, especially on my volleys. And I did notice it was a little bit harder for me to get my wrist rotating when I was trying to hit really sharp angled shots, but there is some good spin potential in the racket as well, so it wasn't as noticeable. One thing I did have to keep in mind was very compact strokes, especially on my return of serve, so I wasn't ever late for the ball. My favorite shot to hit with this racket was the serve. I had great power on my first serve and great spin potential on the second serve. I did notice maybe towards the end of a singles match, I was trying to get some arm fatigue, so I kind of went more for a slice body serve, which was just as effective. So overall, I got to play test this racket in several different situations, singles, doubles, and drilling, and I really loved it playing doubles. I felt that everything I did well was just accentuated with this racket.
I also had a great time playtesting this racket. Out of all the VCOREs, I was really surprised to find this one fit my game the best. The extended length really shrunk as I played with it, and I found like I was whipping it around like it would a standard length racket. And I think if you can handle a swing weight in the high 320s into the 330s, you definitely handle this racket no problem. I thought the most challenging shot I would have would be on the return of serve, but that stroke worked really well for me. I was able to step in, take the ball early, still take a good cut of the ball. Never felt like I was working with too much racket, or I never felt like I was getting late on my contact point, so that was good. It's so super solid and stable once you get it moving. I loved it on the block returns, and also when I was slicing the return on the backhand, I could really drive that shot. Same with the ground strokes, I could really step in, take a big cut of the balls, getting rewarded with lots of power and lots of spin. And really nice, I was able to control the depth of my shots better than I could with some of the standard length versions of this racket. So I was getting the ball up and over the net and getting it dropping inside the lines. But the best thing was serving. Absolutely love serving with this racket. So much power, so much spin. I was getting more free points, I was getting more weak returns coming back, and that was allowing me to attack the ball early and also do some nice serve and volley too. So super fun play test for me, and my pick of the litter of the new VCORE rackets.
To start, I have to say that this VCORE 100 Plus is a lot of racket for me to swing. I typically am not swinging rackets that are in this swing weight range, but I had some similar experiences to Brittany off the baseline. I could hit a bigger ball than I'm used to, really heavy power, good spin. My opponents were actually noting that my shots did feel heavier to them. I did find it to be a little bit more predictable, just like Brittany said, compared to their standard VCORE 100. I wasn't having as many depth issues as I did with that racket. However, for me, it was a bit of feast or famine. I was either hitting a great, steep, powerful ball, or I was really late, and I really couldn't recover when I was swinging late. When I was striking the ball late is when I would have that problem with my shots just flying off target, and I think that is to be expected. I mean, the ball's behind me, it's just gonna go out. At net, I like the stability of this racket. I always found it comfortable. Again though, as not the strongest volleyer, I was catching the ball late often and just really struggling if I did put the ball away right away. And on serve, I could hit a really good serve. It's just, can I keep that swing speed up? As I took down this racket for a 30-minute service practice, and I was really struggling to keep that swing speed up for that long, and I started to notice that a lot of my balls were landing deep past the service box line. So overall, I found this to be a very powerful and very spin-friendly racket, just a lot for me to swing consistently.
If you're looking to add a ton of power, a ton of depth to your shots, then this is definitely a racket you want to check out. I think that 27.5-inch length plus that high swing weight really up the power level compared to the standard VCORE 100. Now on my ground strokes, I did find this racket to be a bit sluggish for me. I tend to like rackets that have what we call whippability, and this one I felt was a little bit sluggish for my taste, and I felt like I just couldn't really get it around enough to generate the spin I needed. Now when I did connect with my shots, I did hit a very big ball, but like Tiffany said, I was also finding myself launching shots quite a bit with this one. I just had to be really conscious about adding topspin to my shots. On serve, I did find that my misses tended to be long. I just found that it was taking a bit of time to accelerate the racket and get it up and through contact. So it did take a bit of adjustment period for me there. But again, when I did get my timing right and hit it in the sweet spot, I was hitting a very big serve. So all in all, I thought this was a very fun racket to try out. It feels like the VCORE 100 but on steroids, and so if you're looking for something that just adds a ton of firepower to your game, you'll definitely want to check this out. We strung up this racket with Yonex Poly Tour Drive at 52 pounds. For all your tennis needs, make sure you go to Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, or Tennis Only.